My good men, my good women, I just want to say beware of the manipulative woman. Can't really tell you how she is formed, where she comes from, but it looks a little something like this. Her father lets her down, and then a couple of men let her down, because that's what she's accustomed to. And then there comes a point in her life where she sees that in other men. She sees the letdown in other men. So if men don't meet her needs at every single moment when she says so, there is a problem. And because she learned how to hide behind victimhood and she learned how to. Now, all women aren't capable of doing this, by the way. This is a skill. But because she is capable of tugging at the hearts of people, that's what manipulation is. She can use that to make a man compromise himself to the point where he doesn't realize that he's making all the compromises. He's making all the changes. He's making all of the efforts. He is essentially turning himself into a shell of himself, turning himself into a sim, into an apparatus, into a tool, something to be used to satisfy somebody who will never be satisfied because she has been programmed by other people to see you as a disappointment. That's why literally you can do everything she asks of you for her today and tomorrow. If the timing is wrong, you say, "Hey, I'm busy with something, whatever," it's a problem. And she will try to use it against you by way of threatening to end the relationship, raising hell. And if you are truly a good man and you have empathy, you will you will not brush it off. You will treat it as if it is a legit concern, as if you did something wrong. All right? This doesn't mean that you're without blame, but you will internalize every problem that she has as if it is really yours. And because you do that, you never take the time to stop and think that, hey, you know what? I feel very unfulfilled too. And, when I tell her of my problems, she'll say things like, well, I guess, or maybe we shouldn't be together then. It's never what can I do to make you feel loved, make you feel like you're taken care of. Some women have this expectation that the men are supposed to do everything for the women, but there's not supposed to be anything reciprocal. It's not supposed to be anything reciprocated. I'm sorry. And so I've in bits and pieces I spoke on the downside of that, but I want to go back and brush over, if I may, you becoming a shell of yourself. And it's because you make yourself too available, which is the problem for a lot of people. You make yourself too available, especially when you're down and out. That's a different conversation. When you don't really have too much going for you, so now you're desperate, and that's why how you end up making yourself too available anyway. But you make yourself too available. You think that you got to respond right away. You got to stop what you're doing, even though it's not even in men's genetic makeup to multitask. It ruins the optimal focus. Now, in order to really get somewhere in life, we have to be focused. When your focus is constantly being messed up trying to keep up with what somebody else wants at any given moment, you're missing out. And they don't understand that. They don't understand how your life, it's a compound effect. So if you get in the habit of putting your priorities off for the sake of trying to satisfy somebody at any given moment, this doesn't mean that you don't compromise. This doesn't mean that you don't, you know, meet this person's needs. But when you're dealing with somebody who wants their needs met at any given moment, and when you don't have the time right there, it becomes a problem, and they try to use it as a form of manipulation to to get you to do something. You're gonna be in trouble. Especially a lot of you guys who lead with your hearts. And this is why a lot of guys, unfortunately, end up becoming, a product of that, and then they become cold hearted. Now they don't want to show women love. Now they out here ruining other women. You know what I'm saying? Does it always start off that way? Is that always the root of why men treat women like shit? Of course not. Of course not. But this is just another way that it is created. You know what I'm saying? Multiple ways to create certain things, and this is one way to turn a good man into a bad one. All right, feeling like he's dealing with somebody with completely unrealistic expectations, have been manipulated, get all the sympathy from their friends and family and things like that, and even gets the sympathy from you because now because she's so talented at this, she convinced you that you're the problem. In spite of the fact that you let your problems be known, and she never make any changes. She just say things like, "Oh, this is the way that I am," kind of take it or leave it attitude. Knowing that, had you taken that approach from the start, you would have been much better off. And also knowing that if you tried to take that approach right now, and then she said, "Oh, we shouldn't be together," all right, and then she'll just go mess around with some other man. All right, it's really that simple because she has a lot of options. All right, and the thing is, she'll get on you if you're too ambitious, you're too busy, and things like that. But she won't be attracted to any other man but that. She won't be attracted. She won't be, she won't be attracted to any other man but the guy who shows he has a nice body or a nice career and things like that. And how did they get there? By being active all the time, by being ambitious. It's not just given to you, And this is why a lot of men fall into the trap of thinking that if they make themselves available all the time, that they are going to get what they want. Be careful what you ask for, my friends, because you might get what you want up front. On the back end, it's going to ruin you. I'm sure a lot of men can chime in and say that this is the exact thing that happened to them, probably multiple times, because it's a cycle. You feeling down and out, down on your luck. Things ain't really going right for you. You attract a woman that's the case for them also. You constantly make yourself available for them. You feel like you can let your guards down, get attached, all of these things, and then things really start to go sour when you start building on yourself. Like, I really found myself in a relationship where the higher I tried to climb, the more this person tried to clip me up, and would never see that, but would say things like, "I don't respect your mind. I want you to be wrong." All types of just wicked things, man. And like, to be a black man, to be in this relationship where you want to build with a black woman and things like that, and she say things like that to you, is very disheartening. And then you procreate, with her. That's on me. That's my bad. That's my fault. But it's very disheartening that, I try to show somebody where they went wrong. You show me where I go wrong. All right, I make these necessary changes. I'm always making these changes. But then, I get time to myself and I peep. You not willing to do the same thing is because you don't see yourself as doing anything wrong. You just say, "Oh, we're not compatible." Well, why were you saying that when you were pointing out all these things that I needed to change? Why were you saying that? It's because I was serving you. But that's how it is when you deal with somebody who's manipulative, 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 and manipulative, and narcissistic, and they use you up till they don't want you anymore. Then they'll go find some other man to ruin, some other man to tear down. Unfortunately, this is the way that it is. I don't. I'm not the type of person who likes to, who has this nocebo approach where I like to speak negative things into existence or try to paint a negative picture about somebody. But it's right there. It paints itself, and it's saddening that a lot of us guys, a lot of us good guys fall into traps like that. And like I said in my last video, you want to guard yourself from the start. You have to know exactly who you're dealing with. It's like I heard somebody say, uh, if you want to play the game, you got to know the rules. All right? It's not enough to have this type of lust and physical attraction for one another, man. You really got to know how this person is when things go bad. Like you got to see him in many elements. I rocked myself to sleep. A lot of you guys have rocked yourself to sleep. But luckily that because life is a marathon, you don't have to keep making the same mistakes, but you have to learn from them and apply your learned knowledge. Apply what you've learned as a result, and don't keep falling for the trap because you're desperate and your self-esteem is low and you vibrating at a low level. All right, so you have to you know stay focused by engaging in activities that are going to build you up. Okay, simply put. Okay, and you gotta you set boundaries for yourself and have this level of respect where you don't keep bending to somebody who's not willing to bend for you. Don't keep doing something for somebody who's not willing to do it for you. All right, because if anybody's it's hard to expect that somebody who is capable of manipulating, who's good at doing it, it's hard to expect for them to stop doing it. If they get their way through manipulation, don't expect for them to stop doing it. All right, you go let them try that on somebody else. All right, grass is greener, yada yada yada. You may miss them, whatever it is. Let them do that shit to somebody else. All right, you can't save them from themselves, man. You really can't. All right, peace.